Imagine a vast blue expanse, so vast and deep that it defies human comprehension. Beneath these waves, in places where light never reaches, lie forgotten stories. These are stories of glories and falls, of civilizations that defied time but succumbed to the relentless force of the oceans. I am not talking about legends or baseless myths. I am talking about real cities, submerged by the waters, buried in the depths, every stone, every artifact, a testament to a past that humanity stubbornly refuses to remember. Have you heard the call of the deep? It is not an audible sound. It is a whisper to the soul, an inexplicable attraction to the unknown. Join me as we unravel the secrets of the sunken cities. But beware, the deeper we dive, the harder it will be to return. In all my years of study and searching, Atlantis was the starting point, the beacon that guided me to other discoveries. Plato described Atlantis as an advanced, prosperous, and proud civilization, destroyed by its arrogance and swallowed by the sea. But, contrary to what many think, Atlantis is not the only city that disappeared beneath the waves. Near the coasts of India, there is a submerged city called Dwaraka, described in ancient texts as a city ruled by the god Krishna. They say its golden towers shone like the sun before vanishing beneath the waves. In Japan, in Yonaguni, submerged structures resemble giant staircases, sculpted with precision that defies explanation. But there is something that unites all these cities. It is not just the tragedy of their submersion, it is the mystery of how they were built. Who raised them, and why? Every report, every artifact found seems to suggest that these civilizations possessed knowledge far beyond what we deem possible for their time. I remember the first time I heard of Pavlopetri. Located on the coast of Greece, this submerged city is one of the oldest known, more than 5,000 years old. Beneath the crystal-clear waters, I saw perfectly aligned streets, houses, temples. It was like looking at a ghost town, frozen in time. What intrigued me most was the urban planning. Pavlopetri seemed to have been built with a clear purpose, with drainage systems and well-defined public spaces. But what happened to it? Some suggest it was destroyed by an earthquake. Others believe rising sea levels were responsible. Looking at the ruins, I felt as though the city still held secrets. What if it wasn't nature that destroyed it? What if greater forces were at play, perhaps coming from beyond this world? Yonaguni is a place that still gives me chills. When I dived into the waters around this Japanese island, I didn't know what to expect. What I found was something that shouldn't have been there: enormous stone structures, resembling staircases, platforms, and even temples. Some scientists claim that Yonaguni is a natural formation, but looking at those precise lines and perfect angles, I can't believe that. Local legends speak of a land called Amu, an ancient civilization that is said to have existed in the Pacific before disappearing in a cataclysm. Could Yonaguni be a fragment of this lost civilization? And if so, what led to its destruction? As I explored Yonaguni, I felt a strange vibration. It wasn't the sound of motors or the sea. It was something deeper, something that seemed to pulse within the very structure. Some divers say they hear inexplicable sounds, echoes from a forgotten time. In the Nile Delta, beneath the murky waters of the Mediterranean, lie the sunken cities of Heracleion and Canopus. Discovered in the late 20th century, these cities were prosperous trade centers, filled with magnificent temples and statues. As I explored these ruins, I noticed that many statues were strangely intact, as if protected by some mysterious force. Some texts found suggest that Heracleion was more than just a commercial city. It was also a spiritual center, a place where priests performed rituals for forgotten gods. But why did these cities sink? Some say it was an earthquake. Others believe the land beneath them simply gave way. However, there are ancient records that mention lights in the sky shortly before the disaster. Could these lights be connected to the destruction? Little is said about Baiae, a submerged city near Naples, Italy. Known as the Las Vegas of ancient Rome, Baiae was a place of luxury, excess, and political intrigue. Today, its ruins rest beneath the waters, but walking through them is like stepping back in time. What fascinates me most about Baiae are the temples. One of them, dedicated to the god Vulcan, appears to contain inscriptions that do not match Latin or Greek. Some researchers suggest that these inscriptions are codes or mathematical formulas. What do these inscriptions mean? And why were they carved into a temple? I felt there was more to Baiae than the books told us. Perhaps the Romans knew more about the mysteries of the sea than we imagined. As I explored these cities, something that always intrigued me was the energy they seemed to emit. It wasn't something that could be measured by instruments, but something that could be felt. It was as if these ruins were still alive, holding secrets that humanity is not yet ready to uncover. Some theorists suggest that these cities were built in specific points on the globe, aligned with energy lines known as ley lines. If true, it means that their builders had advanced knowledge of the planet, knowledge that perhaps even we do not possess today. The sunken cities of the world are not just relics of a distant past. They are gateways to a deeper understanding of who we are, where we came from, and where we are going. Every ruin, every stone, is a fragment of a puzzle that humanity has yet to solve. As you listen to this story, I invite you to imagine what else might be hidden beneath the waves, waiting to be discovered. Will we ever have the courage to face these mysteries head-on? Or will we continue to ignore the call of the depths, fearing the truths they may reveal? The oceans are vast, and their secrets even deeper. But the journey to unveil them starts with a simple question: are you ready to dive? Off the coast of India, in the Gulf of Khambhat, submerged ruins have been discovered that challenge our historical chronology. This discovery, made in the early 2000s, revealed remains of a city that could have existed over 9,000 years ago, long before the first known civilizations like Sumeria or Egypt. When I heard about this discovery, I was filled with a mix of fascination and disbelief. How could such an ancient civilization possess such complex architectural structures? The ruins, which include stone pathways, columns, and even a drainage system, seemed too advanced for their time. Analyses of the site indicate that the city was submerged due to the melting of the polar ice caps at the end of the last ice age. This means that this civilization existed at a time when our history books claim humans lived as simple hunter-gatherers. But who were they? And how did they acquire this knowledge? Indian legends speak of divine cities ruled by gods who descended from the sky. Could these ruins be evidence that these myths may have some basis? While exploring local stories, I found references to a city of the elders that vanished when the sky wept for 40 days and 40 nights. This description reminded me of the myth of the Great Flood, found in many cultures worldwide. Could these stories be connected? Another place that deeply fascinated me was Lion City, a submerged city in Qiandao Lake, China. Unlike other sunken cities, Lion City was not swallowed by the sea due to natural disasters, but intentionally flooded in 1959 when the Chinese government decided to create a reservoir. However, what makes this city so unique is the surprising state of preservation of its structures. Divers report that, even after decades submerged, Lion City appears untouched by time. Its temples, arches, and buildings continue to exude an almost supernatural grandeur. There is something in its walls, in its inscriptions, something that seems to guard ancient secrets, far predating its flooding. Local legend suggests that Lion City was built on a sacred site, where ancient civilizations performed rituals for the gods of the mountains. As I dove into these dark waters, I had the strange sensation of being watched. It wasn't just the eyes of the divers beside me. It was something else. It was as if the city itself were alive, breathing under the weight of the waters. As I explored different submerged cities, an unexpected connection began to emerge. These cities, separated by continents and ages, shared similar patterns: advanced urban planning, alignment with astronomical phenomena, and in many cases, narratives of destruction linked to great cataclysms. I remembered a theory presented by some unconventional archaeologists, the idea that these civilizations were part of a global network of knowledge. What if, at some remote time, there was a mother civilization that shared its technologies and practices with different peoples around the world? And if these sunken cities are the last remnants of that ancient global network? I cannot fail to mention reports of inexplicable phenomena in these places. Divers in Yonaguni speak of lights that appear out of nowhere, while others in Pavlopetri reported hearing sounds resembling chants. These experiences lead me to believe there is more to these places than just stone and water. As the evidence accumulates, a question arises that I cannot ignore: what was the true relationship between these sunken civilizations and the heavens? Many of them had a profound understanding of astronomy, aligning their constructions with stars, constellations, and equinoxes. It's almost as if they were trying to connect with something beyond this world. In Heracleion, for example, some inscriptions suggest rituals performed for celestial deities. In India, the Vedic texts speak of vimanas, or flying chariots, associated with sunken cities. Even in Atlantis, Plato's description mentions temples dedicated to Poseidon, the god of the sea, but also structures that seem to have a cosmic meaning. What were these cities trying to achieve? Were they seeking answers in the heavens to avoid their impending tragedies? Or, perhaps, were they responding to a call that still echoes in our souls, urging us to discover what was lost? As I close my eyes and revisit the memories of my explorations, I can't help but feel that we are just scratching the surface of these mysteries. Beneath the waves lie secrets that could rewrite the history of humanity. They are stories of glory and fall, of progress and destruction, and perhaps, of a deeper connection with the cosmos. But for every answer we find, new questions arise. What did these civilizations really know? Why did they choose the places they did? And most importantly, what can we learn from their stories? As the waves break gently on the surface, it's easy to forget what lies below. Every dive is a journey into the unknown, where the shadows of sunken cities seem to whisper stories that defy logic. Let's dive deeper, explore the darkest layers of these enigmas, and try to connect the fragments of a past that insists on slipping through our fingers. We return to Atlantis, the enigma that started so many quests. What if Atlantis wasn't just a legend, but part of a network of advanced civilizations that shared knowledge? In different parts of the world, submerged ruins show striking similarities: paved roads, grand halls, and even symbols that seem to echo a lost language. Plato wrote that Atlantis possessed unimaginable technology, energy derived from giant crystals, vehicles capable of crossing land, sea, and air, and temples built in harmony with the cosmos. These descriptions match myths found in cultures across all continents. In South America, legends about the people of Pavlopetri, a lost golden city, speak of masters of construction and guardians of knowledge. Could Pavlopetri be linked to Atlantis? And if Atlantis wasn't an isolated place? What if it were the center of an interconnected world, whose branches reached to the corners of the globe? With every submerged ruin we find, it feels like we are drawing the map of a global civilization that may never have completely disappeared. There is something that unites many of these submerged cities beyond their architecture and mysteries: the tragic fate of their populations. Heracleion, Pavlopetri, and even the mysterious city of Nan Madol in the Pacific have stories of sudden decline, followed by their fall into the depths. In Nan Madol, for example, legends speak of men of power who built the city using unknown forces, possibly magnetic. Yet, they also say that greed and spiritual imbalance led to its fall. In Heracleion, ancient inscriptions mention a bloody moon that preceded the flooding. And in Pavlopetri, there are signs of mysterious rituals performed just before the city disappeared. These stories lead us to ask, do the sunken cities carry only the weight of their ruins, or also the energy of the events that led to their destruction? Many divers report unsettling sensations when exploring these places, as if they were being watched, as if something, or someone, was following them beneath the waters. In the heart of the Andes, at an impressive altitude, lies Lake Titicaca. Beneath its waters, archaeologists have discovered traces of an advanced civilization, temples, paved roads, and ritual objects. The local people speak of a city called Yonaguni, where the children of the stars lived before being taken back to the sky. One particular legend stands out, the story of a crystal guardian, an artifact that supposedly resides in a submerged temple in the lake. They say the crystal emits a bright light on full moon nights, and that anyone who tries to remove it will be cursed. Exploring Lake Titicaca is like diving into two dimensions at once, the physical, with its structures and artifacts, and the spiritual, with the stories that seem to envelop every stone. Could the crystal guardian be just a myth? Or is it a relic of knowledge that transcends our understanding? Let's return to the submerged structures of Yonaguni, Japan. Some archaeologists insist they are natural formations, while others claim they are ruins of a prehistoric city. But what intrigues me more are the patterns in the stones, marks that seem to form symbols or maps. Some of these symbols bear a striking resemblance to inscriptions found in ruins of entirely different cultures, such as the Mayans and the Egyptians. Could Yonaguni be more than just a submerged city? Could it be a lost link between civilizations that, supposedly, never had contact with each other? As I dove between the formations, I heard a strange sound, a low hum, almost like a melody. Other divers also reported inexplicable sounds, which many believe are echoes from a forgotten civilization. Looking at these sunken cities, I realized that each ruin seems to hold a piece of a great enigma. Submerged temples are often aligned with astronomical precision, inscriptions on stone seem to carry messages that we have yet to decipher, and artifacts found in these cities often possess unknown properties. In Yonaguni, for example, there are marks that could be interpreted as coordinates, perhaps to other similar locations. In Heracleion, ancient texts mention portals to the realm of the gods. And in the Gulf of Kumbat, artifacts show patterns that resemble star maps. Could it be that these cities, in addition to their architecture and advancements, also hide a code? A map or guide to greater knowledge? If this is true, what's stopping us from deciphering it? Perhaps fear of what we might find. As we go deeper, both literally and metaphorically, it becomes clear that sunken cities are more than just forgotten monuments. They are stories in stone and silence, guarded by time and waters. But for every secret they reveal, new mysteries emerge. The depths still call to us, like a distant song, inviting us to explore more, to question more, to look beyond what our eyes can see. The real question is, are we ready to face the secrets of the past? Or perhaps the mysteries of the deep are something humanity is still not prepared to comprehend? You decide. The waves are ready to reveal what they hide. The courage to dive is yours.